What's up, YouTube? Back again with another video. Looks like I have 7 views so far on my last one. They're probably mostly me just clicking on the video again, but who cares? Today, I wanted to talk about the reverse opium war that we are facing right now in America, which we are facing a reversal of the opium wars. Long story short, I'm not going to get too much into the history about it, just because other YouTube videos have already done that. But if you know anything about the opium wars, you can, or if you want to know anything about the opium wars, you can look up Dr. Mark Felton's videos. They basically showed or explained how colonial Britain used drugs to corrupt, or I guess magnify, corruption that already existed within China, and they used it to weaken China to a point where it was easy for them to take over. And right now, the United States is suffering from that same corruption. You know, at every level, every office of government, you know, every business, pretty much everything. And a lot of it has to do with the soul of this country, which I'll talk about a little bit in this video, but I think I'll have another video up later. But basically, long story short, I believe this history goes all the way back to when the Opium Wars happened. And I believe that there's so much wrong and right done that happened. I'm probably going to sound like a psychopath or like a weird person, but hear me out. So, long story short, this is how I view what went down. So Britain existed, and they have always been an empire, or had always been an empire, basically up until 1945, when World War II ended. Basically, Britain was an empire. They were attempting to take over, and they took over parts of China. They were very jealous of China and what China had. You know, they're an empire. They don't really discriminate. It wasn't because they were Asian. You know, they built, you know, up stereotypes and stuff, and built up racism. It had nothing to do with it. They could care less. They want the money and the power. And the East India Company basically took advantage of people, because opium is not native to China. It's native to Afghanistan, I believe. Milk of the poppy seed. And long story short, China was going to be a hell of a lot more resistant if they didn't have these drugs. And the British banned these drugs because they knew how bad it was. I mean, and that's why drugs can't be tolerated. But anyway, long story short, they knew that it turned men who are in pain from working into worthless things. It makes everybody worthless. Opium's some freaking bad stuff, dude. And opium is the reason that, part of the reason that the Russian Empire collapsed. Rasputin was using it on the royal family in Russia. But I digress. Opium's some bad stuff. And basically, the British imported it into China for the economic purposes originally, to get the money out of China and find China out of China. But eventually it corrupted and weakened most of China. and it made them so weak and so able to be attacked at their highest levels. And to be fair, they were already corrupted, but now they're corrupted and they're on drugs and they're weak. And their technology was like basically garbage compared to the British because of their isolationist policies. Or not even the policies, but it's just they were isolated from a lot of stuff. But long story short, fast forward to 1945, I would say the mid 20th century, and the United States is dealing with an issue. Empires rose and fell, all that kind of stuff happened, and long story short, the two Marxist countries, Soviet Union and China, they had a falling out, and we might have, I can't really say whether or not we assisted in that, but I'm sure, we were definitely happy that it happened. And a lot of those communist countries and Marxist countries, they have an issue. If you've ever actually read the Communist Manifesto, ultimately, its ultimate goal is a form of imperialism that is extremely far left, because they want all the workers to unite. Workers of the world unite. They want every single person to be united, because it is a form of socialism. It's just an inclusive form of socialism, whereas fascism is an exclusive form of socialism. But I digress. In my opinion. So, long story short, Britain has showed up, or it has left. The empire's fallen, it's weak, and a new kind of empire is being built. It's called an economic empire. It's not as much violence, it's just slow, it's a slow bleed. And China is like a two-headed dragon that the United States needs to coax, and they will help us defeat Russia. They will assist us in doing a lot of stuff, but it will basically become independent. China will continue some of its imperialistic policies like it did against Vietnam, and it will fight with us. And this is all theory. I haven't really researched this. I probably should before opening my mouth. But China will help us defeat the Soviets in Afghanistan after we've learned our hard lesson in Vietnam on guerrilla warfare. And I think the opium war that we're facing right now is the fact that Russia was a bear that we were fighting. And that bear had to be defeated. China was this two-headed dragon, this two-headed serpent, which offered us venom to assist in bringing Russia down. And there were other things that brought Russia down. But one of the things that we essentially gave China was we allowed it to bite us. We've allowed it to feed off of our economy. And these were decisions, hard decisions that had to be made, and ultimately it was a good decision up until the Soviet Union collapsed. I think once the Soviet Union collapsed, we should have changed our tune, changed our policy. But we didn't. And that two-headed dragon that used to be draining blood from us while pumping venom into the Russian bear is gone now. Now, China is draining blood from us and pumping venom into us, in my opinion. Through the opium wars, through their control of social media platforms, In my opinion, the Chinese government is taking advantage of the United States, and they know they can't beat us in a world war, and they probably don't want to fight us in a world war either. I don't think anybody wants that, especially not with nuclear bombs now. And so we're facing a two-headed serpent, two-headed dragon, a beautiful dragon, but it is a threat to us. It's a threat to the United States, it's a threat to the world, and it's trying to take over, and maybe it deserves to take over. I know the people definitely deserve good lives. And, you know, maybe the United States no longer deserves to be on top, but I think we need to resist. We need to fight back. Not with, you know, weapons, but just by watching what you buy, where it comes from. Buy American. You know, treat Americans good. You know, be more patient with each other. Be more kind to each other as Americans. Stick together. Find common ground. And right now, that's going to be hard for us to do. You know, especially with our divisive presidents. Or less the presidents themselves, but more the politics and the media. But right now, we do face a two-headed dragon. And it is doing its thing right now. A lot of what this drug, or what these drugs are doing, will be seen in another one of my videos where I talk about African Americans and the war on drugs. Long story short, the drug trade was, in my opinion, a large source of money in order for us to defeat communism. And make no mistake, I will declare it from the mountaintops: communism is bad. Socialism is bad. Don't matter how many young people, young beautiful women driving around in their Jeeps on their iPhones, no matter how much they say it's good, it's not. No matter how many young, dumb college students say it, it's not. Communism is terrible. It's bad for everybody, and it gives the government, which is inherently corrupt, you know, more power. And so, yeah, we face a two-headed dragon.